I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Tonight we are hopefully going to have a fantastic show for you guys. As you saw, we're going to be discussing the Beast of Bray Road. Now, we're having an issue with one of my with our special co-host Maggie. She's having a little technical difficulties, but you've got me and Sabrina. So we're going to try to carry this for you guys until there's Maggie.
Oh, there.
Hopefully she's not frozen. But I'm gonna say for you guys. I'm gonna say, what is that? Uh-oh.
Okay. Technical difficulties.
But she
just gotta go.
Poor Maggie. But she's kind of our resident expert, so to speak, or in the know when it comes to the Beast of Bray Road, because she has family from that area. So when she's going to be taking over the whole Beast of Bray Road. I know Sabrina has some stuff to check out for us. You know, she'll kind of tell some stories. I've got 3 or 4 books where I've got some good stories about not only the Beast of Bray Road, but you guys, tonight, this is about werewolf, dog man, and that's what we're going to go over, and we'll do that. But again, thank you so much for popping on, and hopefully we can get Maggie on here.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I'm going to do, I don't know if I should remove. No, I'm not going to remove her. I'll just let her stay up there. So what's up, Ashes? Hey, what's up there, Ms. Williams? Jason, hello. Let's see, Wade, what's up, buddy? You guys, we have a new member. We have Kelly. Is it Sandy Ford? Kristen, good evening, and thank you for your help. So again, thank you for the membership there. You know, do you want to go in and start the show with some of your, or some of the stuff that you have, or any things until we can get Maggie back on here? Yeah.
Let me see. Let me see.
Okay.
I have so many. Come on, Maggie.
Hey, Maggie.
That's.
See if this works this time.
That's much better. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% better.
Don't mind me while I tell my kids to be quiet a moment. Ladies, no. Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
Hey, I'll play that one vocalization and I'll get her to chill out.
Well, you might get her to wound right up and we won't be able to hear a thing for a while.
Yeah. So as I was saying, hey, what's up there, everybody? Michelle, Wade, Veronica, love from Oklahoma. Well, love from Minnesota. Yeah, sure. But
I can't see any chat, guys, because I don't have an active computer. So this is all just phone and camera off the phone. So I apologize if I can't answer anybody.
Oh, if you know what, if I see a question for you, I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it.
Perfect.
And then you could go ahead and answer that. Let's go ahead and Sabrina, we'll go ahead and have Maggie while we are quote unquote, knock on wood, no technical issues right now. We'll have her jump in and kind of just explain, why, what she knows about the Beast of Bray Road and that kind of stuff.
Well, the Beast of Bray Road came into existence in my life rather late. And unbeknownst to me as a small child, I was raised in Northern Illinois, right on the Wisconsin line, right into Walworth County. And I, grew up there until I was 10 years of age. My parents moved to Southwest Michigan, where they were both from originally. Bought a horse farm here. My father had a die-cast company nearby. In a neighboring town, and then they went on to purchase a cabin summer home in Wexford County, Michigan, which is home to the Michigan Dog Man. And yet at this time, I still didn't realize, I was young, what was going on around here. And so it was probably 1989, 1990, somewhere in there, where Steve Cook, who was a radio disc jockey and a songwriter out of Traverse City, Michigan, sent out kind of a spoof on Halloween, the Dog Man song. Have you heard that, Daniel? So he put that out, and what happened is they had such an immense response. His song is a compilation of previously recorded sightings of the Dog Man or the Beast of Bray Road, both in Elkhorn and in Michigan. But his song, especially in Michigan, because of Traverse City, he had such an immense response from his listeners that the radio station was so overwhelmed with phone calls. They had hundreds and hundreds of people calling in saying, I've seen this thing that you're singing about. And he really had no clue that this was something that, people truly believed in. He's looking at old lore and fairy, folklore from the area dating back into the 1800s and, very early 1900s of sightings, around Michigan of this beast. And then people are all of a sudden coming forward with, hey, this is a dog man. We've seen this. So he kind of tagged the moniker dog man to this creature. So here I am listening to this on Halloween and I'm like, what's a dog man? And so, you get a little further into it and you discover in the internet that, they're talking about a werewolf. And then I research a little further and the origins of this werewolf also are in my hometown in Wisconsin. So I was kind of like, I'm really glad my parents didn't tie a pork chop around my neck and throw me out to play. I probably would have gotten eaten by something vicious, surrounded by it. So that really piques one's interest in this type of creature. And there's so much great tales and folklore behind, the Beast of Bray Road in of itself and the origins of its beginnings in the Catholic school that they had in near Elkhorn, where they took care of disabled and infirm people. A groundskeeper first reported having seen this creature there hunched over a grave. He was doing a third shift walk and walking through. They had, many, many burial sites on this particular Catholic grounds, Native American, as well as, people who had passed in their care. And that was one of the first reported sightings in more modern accountable time that was given for that. And then, of course, we have Linda Godfrey, who's the queen of the Beast of Bray Road. She was an absolutely amazing author and journalist. And, she really started to devote her life to this creature when people, it can't be a hoax. There's too many people calling into her with so many coincidences. And it's not just in Elkhorn, it's in surrounding areas of that place. So she really started, she took a lot of grief for devoting her journalism career and kind of taking that huge paradigm shift in her career over to that side. But that's really what, her notoriety and really put the Beast of Bray Road on the map as far as the cryptid community. I think she brought it to light for people.
That's so neat.
Well, you introduced me to Lee Hample.
Yes.
And so I know you did some research, and what I'm looking for is I actually visited that radio station in Traverse City, and I took some pictures. I couldn't go into it, but they had some stuff on the outside of it, and I'm trying to find some of the pictures. But why don't you kind of dig into the whole Beast of Bray Road, like some of the stories that you know or you've heard, and things like that.
When, kind of a bit, Linda Godfrey hit on this a lot in her documentaries. There were county officials in Walworth. Their appointed animal control officer kept a file in his desk labeled werewolf because he himself was getting so many calls from people of this upright canine of such large proportion that he finally had to devote a fair amount of time in investigating what was going on. In all ages and demographics of people in this area have seen this creature. Your white collar, all the way up, your doctors, lawyers, all the way down the, the social ladder. There's no discrimination in who has seen this, from young women driving home from school functions at night, being scared to death, thinking they bumped into somebody's dog, only to find out, they have this 9-foot, what they think is, see as an upright canine, coming at them. So, is this a true dog man, or is this more of a spectral being on the other side of the coin where dog man are considered? Mr. Hempel, his statement is tracks or facts, and we've seen those in his video and his interview. He's got some really, really really good evidence. It's hard to discredit any of that evidence. He went so far as to involve the Field Museum and the Museum of Science and Industry to find their best track analysts to have this looked at. I mean, he's a prominent member in the community. He's a school teacher. They raise horses, they bale hay. People know this man, and he's stepped way out on the limb to help bring the notoriety here because it's on his farm, and no one would speak to him about it. He was up there baling hay many years in a row, and no one mentioned anything to him. And that's just the stigma behind it. No one talks about it. And when I had reached out to him to ask him if he had any interest in talking, with any of us, his first thing, yes, absolutely. No one else will. Nobody else will talk about it. And, this creature, there's lore.
Oh, shoot.
Well, holy smokes. Okay, guys. So again, she's having a little bit of technical difficulty before. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm loading up a couple of pictures that I took when I was in Traverse City. And she had mentioned that the radio station there. Well, here is the door, the front door of the radio station. And so this is in Traverse City, and this is also on the front, near the front door as well.
That's neat.
And that's what they reported as seen
Mm.
up there in Michigan. Now, this isn't the one in Elkhorn, but this is what they believe as the Michigan Dogman. So it's pretty crazy when you see something like this. And as I was walking by, see, again, I knew that in, what is it, 17, what did I say it was? Where's my water? 1887 is when the first reported, sighting of the Michigan Dogman was. And so, like she had said, that DJ, that song that was played was composed of bunches of different eyewitness accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And then there it is. So my internet has crashed. All right. Okay, you guys. So it looks like she's not going to be joining us for a little bit because her internet has crashed. So we're going to keep on going, and when she can come back on, we'll bring her back on. So I'm just messaging her here when you can. So Sabrina, if you want to go ahead and jump on in and
I can do that.
Awesome. Guys, that's what happens when you do a live show. The unknown happens.
Okay, so I've got some cool stuff, kind of short stuff, but it's cool none the least. So I tried to rewrite this to the best of the easiest way to compile it. So for those listening, I went on a tribal camp out the past couple of days. So we had, people of my tribe, the White Top tribe. We had people of the Cherokee Nation, the Shawnee Nation, the Lakota, a couple Blackfeet. One guy even came down from Texas. So I told Daniel, I was like, this is prime opportunity for me to get in some lore questions, some creepy questions, tales passed down. So I tried to write it as simple as possible. Let me see. Make sure. So my tribe personally is from Virginia. Oh, there she goes. Welcome back.
Technology wonderful.
Go ahead, Sabrina, and finish up some of the stuff that you'd found.
I gotcha. So Virginia's First Nations, and I'll read this, I'm terrible at reading, but Virginia's First Nations included the Powhatan, which is an Algonquin tribe, and the Monacan and the Tutelo, which is Siouan, which is what I am. Tribes have stories of spirit guardians, forest watchers, and shapeshifters, and these tales eventually grew in size the more they were encountered. Eastern woodland cultures, so my tribes, they call them the dog spirits or the wolf watchers. They are beings that could shift between man and wolf form. Some legends describe the giant black wolves who would appear as omens to warn hunters or lead them away for sacred or cursed places. So I talked to my elders a little bit about my encounter of what I saw, and I told him, I was like, this is the biggest German Shepherd, the blackest dog. I asked, I was like, was this a wolf? Because it was the biggest thing I've ever seen. And, they were kind of a little leery about talking to me about it. But they were more heavy, which, everybody's going to have a different of opinion, but they were more heavy on the spiritual side. They were convinced that, I was meant to see this for a reason. They don't know if it was considered a werewolf or if they would consider it the dog spirit. So there are just multiple reasons why someone would actually see this. And it was myself and 2 other ladies who actually did see this. And, I'm not saying it was a dog man. I don't know. It could have been a spirit that we were just all meant to see. They are also indigenous. It didn't stand on 2 legs or anything like that, so I'm not entirely sure what it is. So it kind of cut off at that, but that's pretty much. So we have the dog spirits and the wolf walkers of the Tutelos, of the Siouan and the Algonquin. The Shawnee call them the Watcher Wolves. They consider them black-furred wolves with deep eyes, but they are considered not a predator of flesh, but of fate. They are seen during spiritual awakenings, major life changes, anything that they think like your path, you're meant to see this thing. So kind of similar to my tribe, anything like that. They're also considered protectors of their chosen people. So they say that they will follow them, whether, there are good ones and there are bad ones. So, you might see one for whatever reason. If it is a spirit, it's meant for you to interpret it, figure out what your purpose is in seeing this or what's going on. Let me see. One of the chat lures that I did when I did look up some information, there was an elder, I don't know the tribe, from southern Ohio that told of a tale of a night wolf that stalked hunters who disrespected the forest. It left no scent and made no noise, but would appear just before dusk and follow them at a distance. One Cherokee elder called them the hairy dog spirits, described them as a wolf-headed man only seen again at dawn or dusk, and is known to appear at family homes before death. So that would be another marker for, a bad omen or something is coming your way. Yeah. Something's coming your way. Same as before, they were not always considered evil. They were considered messengers, protectors, spiritual tests. And then, of course, you have the Dene, which is the Navajo, and I dislike using this word, but they call them skinwalkers. I call them Yannies, so I don't have to say that word, which I think Daniel and I talked about that. I could not for the life of me figure out where I heard that word. And I think you said you heard that word as well.
What?
The Yannies?
The Yannies?
I thought you said that you heard that name too, because
I
can't find.
I have, but I can't remember where I heard it.
See, that's weird. I couldn't find anything to where I found that name. I don't remember where I heard it or where it came from. I don't know.
And that's what the issue is with everything up in this head, because some things I just lock onto and hang on to it, and other things
it's gone.
I barely remember my wife's birthday. No, I'm just kidding.
But I mean, that's pretty much, what I got out of my elders, just having, bonfires that, these things could be flesh and blood. They could be spirits. It just kind of depends on who you're asking, what's going on in your life. If you think it's, an actual, because to me, this thing was flesh and blood. It was huge. But I can't say for sure what it was. It's just, but I do have other Appalachian lore, like a little bit, if you want me to read that too.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So mountain lore in the Shenandoah Valley and the Appalachian Ridge, early settlers called them the devil dog or howlers or cemetery beasts, which I think is funny because that's what Maggie also said, is that these things are found for whatever reason. Again, they're found at crossroads, they're found at cemeteries, mounds, sacred grounds, kind of sort of similar to Bigfoot in that aspect. The reasons are unknown, but they do seem to harbor in these areas. They were creatures who stood on 2 legs but could also run on all 4s. They were taller than a man with glowing eyes and a deep growl that would echo for miles. They were often seen by cemeteries and crossroads. Let me see. So I had a few modern encounters that I found in Ohio. Let me see. So, Scioto County, Jackson County, and Gallia County. Notable encounters in southern Ohio was 1990s Adams County. A hunter sees a massive black wolf, taller than any dog, he said, watching him from the clearing. 2013, Hocking Hills State Park. A woman spots a dog-like creature that partially stands upright and disappears behind a tree. 2021 in Lawrence County, a witness hiking near dusk sees a horse-sized black wolf, which that's actually terrifying.
What?
Yeah, yep. Said it was stalking him silently along the ridge line while he was out. And that's even bigger than what I saw. I told you, this was the size, if not larger, than an Irish wolfhound. And I can't even imagine a horse-sized one. That's just terrifying. No. Modern encounters. There she is.
I'm trying.
It's okay.
That's what happens when you live in the sticks and you can't get good internet.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know. Let me see. So, modern encounters in Virginia, 2004 in Spotsylvania County. A couple driving down a back road near a Civil War battlefield. Again, sacred ground, burial mounds, things like that. They're known. Encountered a 7-foot-tall creature with a wolf head and humanoid body. It was running beside their car at highway speed, and it veered off into the woods, leaving claw marks on the road.
Yeah.
2012 in Jefferson National Forest, a solo camper reports seeing what he believed was a bear until it stood upright and moved through the trees. He described a dark man-wolf thing with a chest like a bodybuilder, but a snout like a Doberman. And then the last one was 2020 in Wise County. A hiker claimed to hear heavy breathing and bipedal footsteps pacing him on a trail. After a rock was thrown in his direction, he turned and saw glowing amber eyes at shoulder height in the brush. No tracks were ever found when they went back to look at the location. So, I mean, you have these things all over the place. I'm talking, thousands of years of native lore of what these things are, whether they're flesh and blood, whether they're spirit. But, I know people who are like, these things aren't real. And it just kills me because I'm like, how can you say that? You have years upon years of people describing or painting these things, running around, standing on, just harassing people or being seen. And I don't understand how somebody could say that they're not real.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Ray, thanks so much for that $5 super chat, man. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. I can't really talk about the whole situation. I had a person email me. It's a dogman encounter, and it happened, I want to say, in Indiana. And he was out fishing, and first day, he was camping, he was out fishing, he was actually fly fishing. And so as he's fly fishing, and the stream he was in was probably knee deep, so he's like wading out into the middle of the stream fly fishing, and he hears this ruckus on the other side of the stream that he's fishing in. And it's like a bunch of like high grass. It's right on the bank, on the edge of this stream. So, and it's not like a very populated area. If you know where this area is, he says he sees maybe 1 to 5 other fly fishermen and probably like a 4-mile stretch of this stream. And he heard this noise and he's like, wait a minute, what is that? So he starts kind of looking around and he sees these weeds, and I want to say they're cattails, but I don't know if that's what they were. But he says he sees them moving like really aggressively back and forth, and he's just stopped. So he's kind of like, and I fly fish, so he does his last cast, he's let it going down, he's slowly pulling it in, and he's going like this, and he looks over. I'm getting goose because when I read this story, it's crazy. He says he looks over, and just as he looks over, he sees these hands come through these like weeds, and then this dog muzzle, like this, he said it looked like a werewolf, pushed its face through these weeds, went like this, and then looked at him, and then brought his things back in and he says he heard something tearing off away from the stream, and then that was it.
Mm-mm.
I think I'd be
What?
packing up and leaving my fly fishing aspirations behind.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what he did. He said, I didn't run back. I slowly walked backwards, got back to shore, and then went back to my campsite, packed everything up, and left.
I'd be taking my tent down and leaving.
No,
I would
thank
just
you.
leave my tent at that point. Like, you can have it.
Yeah.
Like, gone.
But just the fact that it did what it did, like what was the actual reasoning behind that? You know, why would it do that?
To be a
Intimidation.
bully reaction.
Yep.
Sure.
I mean, holy crap! I mean, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And it's a story, and it's a couple, a few hundred miles, maybe 1,000 or so miles away from me, but still,
Oh, it's
they've had
frightening.
they've had dogman sightings up here in Minnesota. One up by Duluth, up by
Everywhere.
the Air National Guard base.
Yeah, the Wade said Gurley said it too, Cynia, and then Wade said it, the land between the lakes. I don't know if you guys have looked into that. That is some scary stuff with the dog man.
Yeah, go back and listen to my Daryl Denton interview.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So let's get it back to Maggie. Mag, let's talk about the Beast of Bray Road. Let's talk about what you know for certain.
I think she's frozen again.
And she's frozen again.
Oh, Maggie.
Oh, you guys. Again, she was describing her property, you guys. She's like a bunch of land. She's a half a mile away from the road. Like, that's how deep in the woods they are. So, I'm going to go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to read the story from this book, Beware of the Woods, by Tony Urban. These were given to me by my wife and my daughter for, I want to say it was my birthday, but let's see what we got here. Hold a second here. She just texted me, ugh. So we know that's, yeah, it's, okay. So this is called Dogman in Michigan. The eyewitness of this encounter is anonymous. The date of this interview was in October 2021, and this sighting took place up in northern Michigan, up in the UP.
Okay.
And so, and it's not one sighting, it's two sightings. The first one was approximately September of 89, and then the second one was June of 97.
Okay.
So the interviewee, the witness, states, as a police officer, here we go.
Always good. Yep.
Love them. As a police officer with over 2 decades of experience, I thought I'd seen it all. But an encounter I had in Michigan's UP proved I didn't have a clue what all might really be lurking out there. There she is.
Yeah,
Now she got
a different position, but may have glare here. There, that's better.
Yeah, she got a Wendigo there. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, there we go. Right there, we have a Wendigo.
Perfect. So, as the story continues, it says, I prefer not to reveal my name or the name of the town I work out of. I was on patrol in the vicinity of the Hiawatha, Hiawatha.
Hiawatha.
Yeah, okay, I thought Hiawatha National Forest. My partner had called in sick, so I was there on my own. But I didn't mind. A solo shift here and there was a welcome change of pace. As I drove along the desolate back roads, the darkness seemed to swallow everything, and the silence was so peaceful that it almost didn't even feel like work. But then around 1 a.m, something caught my attention. In the distance, I saw a huge figure moving in the shadows. At first, I thought it was just a deer, but then as I got closer, I realized it was standing on 2 legs. Now, this might sound weird. Well, all of this probably is going to sound weird, but my first thought was that it was some person in a costume.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why a person would be out there in the middle of the night in September isn't a question I can answer, but it seems the only real possibility. I didn't believe in any of that supernatural or metaphysical mumbo jumbo. Heck, I didn't even believe in aliens or UFOs. But as I got closer, I realized what I was seeing was no one in a suit. It stood almost 6 feet in height, looked to weigh a good 200 pounds, and I'm not BSing you, it had a wolf like head. Its eyes glowed yellow as they were lit up by my headlights, and it was covered in a ratty gray fur from head to toe. I slowed my cruiser to a near halt, taking all of this in, and it seemed to be doing the same thing. It didn't run away like a typical animal would, but it didn't charge at me either. It just stared at me and I looked back at it. The stalemate lasted maybe 30 seconds before my curiosity proved too much to keep at bay. So I drove up a little closer, stopping again when it was no more than 10 feet from me and standing sort of diagonally to my position in the cruiser. Seeing it up close, I could tell that it was a real animal. No chance at all that it could be a costume. I could see its muscles and its skeleton. Probably said that wrong. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it was obvious that this was not fake fur draped over a body. It was all attached and real, living and breathing. And its teeth, they looked sharp enough to chomp down through steel. I could see them so clearly, and I could see the yellow tartar buildup on them. Just like everyone who's grown up in the area, I had heard stories about the dogman, but it was all a hoax, an urban legend. Some stories folks made up to get on the radio, so I thought it wasn't real. But here it was, and I was looking right at it. I reached for my radio to call for backup, but without warning, the dogman took one giant leap and landed on the hood with a sickening thud. I could hear its toenails scratching through the paint and digging into the metal as it took step after step towards me until its face was just inches from the windshield. It was looking right at me. Foaming saliva dripped from its jaws as a deep, threatening growl rumbled through its throat. I'd never been so scared in my life. Not on the job. Not ever. I fumbled with my radio and called in for help. I didn't say why. I just said, "Officer in need of backup." The dispatcher's scratchy voice came over the line, but before I could respond, the dogman jumped off the hood and circled the car. It kept snarling and snapping at the window. I pulled out my gun, but I knew it was going to be useless unless I planned to shoot through the glass because I wasn't going out there. This thing was too big, too fast, and definitely too weird. I was about I was about to wet my pants when suddenly the creature threw back its head and let out a blood-curdling howl. Then it took off in a lopping run and ran back into the forest. I sat in my cruiser completely shaken for what felt like an eternity. When I finally regained my senses, I answered the dispatcher, told her it was a false alarm. She asked what was up, but I wasn't about to admit it over the radio, with God knows who listening in. I was one of only 3 female officers on the force and already dealt with enough crap. The last thing I needed was to open myself up for more ridicule. I sped back to the station as fast as I could. My mind was racing. When I got back to the station, I didn't tell anyone what had happened. I knew they would think I had gone nuts. But the memory of that encounter still haunts me and has haunted me for years. Then, a few years before I retired, I found myself on the same back road, this time with a partner. As we drove, the headlights illuminated an animal crouching on the road. My heart skipped a beat when I realized it was the dogman, and it was eating a deer fawn. My partner saw it too, and that was a relief because part of me, maybe a part bigger than I care to admit, had wondered if I was nuts and had imagined the whole thing years before. Now I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that this was real. The dogman took off running straight down the road, using those same lopping, galloping strides. I floored the gas pedal and gave chase. All the while, my partner was jabbering and yelling in confused shock, but I didn't have time to explain to him what was going on. The creature was fast, but my cruiser was faster. We could hear the heavy footsteps pounding the ground as it ran on all fours, and I knew we had to catch it. Then it darted off the road into the grassy clearing. Without thinking, I kept the pursuit going. I wasn't going to let this thing get away this time. The cruiser bounced over rocks, in and out of divots. I swerved around bushes and barely missed a few small trees. Then all of a sudden, the dogman stopped in his tracks and turned to face me. I slammed on the brakes and skidded to a stop, staring in shock as the creature snarled at us with its razor-sharp teeth. Its fur bristled with rage. Then, just as suddenly as the creature took off into the trees too thick to drive through, and I jumped out of the car and gave foot chase. No.
What?
In hindsight, it was reckless and went against all of the training that I had, as well as the common sense. But in the heat of the moment, I wasn't thinking clearly. I had tunnel vision. As I chased it through the woods, I knew I couldn't keep up that pace for much longer. So I pulled out my service weapon and fired a shot into the air. I was hoping it startled it and would make it stop, but it didn't. It just kept running, and so did I. But just a few moments later, my foot caught a root, and I went down in a heap. I scrambled back to my feet, but by the time I was upright, there was no sign of it. I tried to find a trail, but it was too dark, and to be candid, I was too tired. I returned to my cruiser where my partner sat shaking. On the drive back to town, I told him about my first encounter with the dogman. Even though he'd seen it himself, he seemed doubtful. After that night, we never spoke of it again, not to each other and not to our colleagues. So, the author, if you guys are first coming in here for the first time, this author does a follow-up question and puts this in the book as well. So, his name is Tony. He's the first, and then the second response is always going to be the person he interviewed. So, Tony asks, in the first encounter, you mentioned the toenails of the dogman scratching the paint of your police car. How did you explain that away if you didn't tell anyone it had happened? Now, when I was reading this, that's what I was thinking in my head. I'm like, wait a minute. What about the scratches? The officer said, I didn't volunteer any information and no one asked. All of our cars had been through hell and back. I doubt anyone had even noticed. I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah.
The author then asks, the night you chased the dogman, I don't mean any offense, but what were you thinking? You could have been killed. The witness states, I guess I look at it like this. I was chasing a perp. Plus, like I said, I had tunnel vision. If I had taken 5 seconds to really evaluate the situation, I would not have done it. And then he goes, well, I'm glad you survived. And he said, you and me both. So that is that story for this book. There's a lot of cool stuff in this book. So I will definitely be reading from this book in future lives that we have. I mean, there's some really cool stuff in this one. So Mags is trying to get back in, you guys. And again, she said she's so sorry She said she feels really embarrassed, that her internet's cutting out. But you guys, this is part of stuff, that when we do lives, we don't have control over this. So to everybody that's coming in and saying hi, the Schultz Outlaws, hello. Welcome. Lisa, hello. Nice to see you again. Corey, hello. Sienna, I know I said your name wrong, and I'm bad at pronouncing names. I apologize. Welcome. Wade, what's up, buddy? Nice seeing you. Filthy Pat's Pan, hello. Nice to see you. Girly, what's up? Lisa again, hi. Let's see who else. I think we have someone here that I missed. Let's see here. I know I have some people in here. Ashes, Veronica, I saw you. Hello. So I think I'm caught up on all the hellos. So if you guys can share this link so people can go jump in on this live, and we're gonna bring you some more stuff. Did you say you had everything, or?
I do have one more. Kentucky.
Okay, let's get her in here. We're gonna let her jump right into it. Okay, before we lose you, let's hear some more stuff about Bray Road.
Yep.
Sure. So, I was saying to you about the correlation and the shocking discovery that, I was raised in two areas where this is a very prominent being. My father, he had a bit of a sadistic side to him, which was more enhanced when he had a little bit of the fire water to go with it. But he used to like to take us kids down a back road. This was kind of between Walworth and Elkhorn area. It was called Road. It was kind of outside of Alden, Illinois, called Harvard now. But it was a very overgrown road, trees dragging over the roads, the vines, the typical spooky road in the daytime. So as a kid, he used to, get great fun out of taking us and just telling us, lock your doors. He'd encourage us to take an Afghan, and, he'd scare the shit out of us by telling us, these wolfmen and scary beasts are out there and they're going to get us. And so, I don't know that if maybe he ever saw something at some point in his life, and these continued trips down this road to scare the ever living shit out of his children were just a way to validate something he'd seen previously, because he was like the ultimate werewolf enthusiast. But and there were, over in that area too, when they started talking about it, Ringling Brothers Circus has a camp when they're not performing in Baraboo, Wisconsin, where the entire troupe would come. Used to be by rail car. There again, Escape from the Circus kind of thing comes into play. Is this something that maybe they had procured and it got lost?
Yeah.
That's true.
Let me ask you this, because you do have family around that area still, correct?
I do, yeah.
Now, have you heard any stories from any of your relatives that live in that area?
None of my relatives have reported anything, but there again, that may be just the fact that that's not something that they're, paying attention to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, or again, how old are they?
Well, I have, a brother who was over there. He's in his, early 60s. They're older. And then I have a nephew and his wife. They're a much younger demographic. And I don't think that any portion of this maybe would appeal to them.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I'm thinking maybe of the older generation, older than Gen Xers, boomers and things like that, they're cut from the cloth where you just don't talk about it.
No, that you don't talk about it. And, you don't talk about it in this area either. I mean, it's that stigma. And, you have all these great minds and scientists that are telling us that, these things cannot be real. It's not real. You can't see this. You're wrong. Something's wrong with you. You need to seek medical help. But, in the same respect, they tell us frequently that we only use 10% of our brain power. So my thought on that is these great minds themselves are only using 10% of their brain power. So maybe they're not open-minded enough to see it either.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
that's absolutely true.
Yep.
So you know what, guys, in the chat, if you guys have a question, let's hear them. We'll do a couple minutes of Q&A, and then we'll let Sabrina go ahead and jump on here. And she said she's got one other thing, and then again, you guys, I've got 3 more books I can read from, and I'm definitely going to read from some stuff from Linda Godfrey's book that I have here. I Know What I Saw. And the reason I'm going to be reading from here is because in this book, there is well, I'll just tell you what the title of it is. It's pretty cool. Let's see. It's called. Where is it at? Is that it? No, that's not it. Let's see. German military werewolves. So that's something that's in Germany. So I am super stoked. And then I wish I would have had more. Now I have more resources at my fingertips now. But there is I'm gonna call it a cryptid, but it's a very well known incident that happened over in Germany. It's called near Hahn Air Force Base, and it's called the Moorbach Monster, and it is a werewolf. And yeah, I have it around here somewhere because I covered it on one of Josh's when we did a live show. We did a really early live and it was all about the Moorbach Monster. I actually contacted a couple people and was introduced and talked to a person who was on flight. He was the flight sergeant when this incident happened. So he has firsthand knowledge because he chased this thing. And so I'm going to try to find all my notes and stuff from that. And then we'll do something like, I think what I want to do is I'd like to do an international show. So I'd like to come up. So you guys, if you're listening, here's some homework for you. Look for any international stories, folklore, cryptids, things that you may have heard about, and email me at thecryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. And just let me know what you guys have found. We'll do the researching, and that's assignments for you too as well. If it's something you could find that's international, and that means Europe, Canada, Mexico, Central, South America. Yeah, we'll definitely want to. Hey, look who just popped up in the chat.
Hey, Naomi.
So, and I'm gonna have this young lady. I'm gonna have her on next Tuesday, the 17th. So,
Yay!
I can't wait to
That's going to
hear
be a
her
good show. She is
Yeah.
a wealth of knowledge, and her storytelling ability is out of this world.
Yeah, Steamboat, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hi, Steamboat.
Hey, Steamboat.
Hey, Steamboat, how are you?
I forgot to reach out to you, brother, but DA asked about that video that you'd sent me, and so I sent it to him, and so he's super cool. He really liked watching it. So, but he has it now, and Noma, is it Neoma or Noma? Naoma. Ask about Pinot. Is that like a wine or something? I'm just kidding. I know it's not a wine. But I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. But that does sound like a wine. Pinot Noir. Yeah,
Yep.
sounds like a wine. All right. So go ahead, Sabrina. Let's hear what else you have.
Actually, Girly said she sent you a question.
Okay. In the chat you did? Or on my phone? Daniel sent you a question. Okay. Is it email or what? Let's see what we got here. All right, nothing in my email. Nothing in my text. Nope, that's not what I want.
The technical difficulties are contagious.
Yeah, probably. Thanks a lot. And
it makes me feel better.
Oh, this
in this chat. Okay, in this chat. Okay, so let me go up here and look here real quick. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so I'm scrolling up. Girly. Okay, one more time. That's not it. Okay, here we go. What ate your guts through on why some dogmen attack people and others do not? Okay, so what are my thoughts? That's what I'm guessing. What are my thoughts on attack some people and others do not? I really don't know because I have almost zero And I'll check if it's a super chat. Well, okay, I'll go up and look at that one, buddy. I don't really know because I've never seen one. I've never really encountered one. So I mean, I'm just gonna say bad disposition. I mean, it's just like any person, you know. One day you're gonna catch me, and I'm gonna be all smiles and hey, how's it going? You know, so glad to see you. And then the other one, you know, it's gonna be, get out of my face before I rip your mouth off your face. You know,
Wrong
um,
place, wrong time.
yeah,
Yep.
you know, uh, or it could be just like with Bigfoot. You know, it could be a regional thing. You never know because I know the Pacific Northwest Bigfoot are more to me. I don't tell anybody a lot of this, but I kind of call the Pacific Northwest Bigfoots like the hippie Bigfoots because they're just super
So cooled out,
chill.
dude.
No.
They're chill, you know, they
Yep.
just want to do their thing. They don't want to be bothered by anybody. You know, they're going to go out of their way to stay out of everybody's way. But
Yeah, they
then
live
once you
in
go,
paradise up there.
yes,
I'd be happy about it too.
you know, but then you have the ones that are down south in Oklahoma, and up in Alaska. They're jerks, especially the ones up in Alaska. I've never heard any peaceful encounters or passive encounters of the hairy man up in Alaska. They've all been very aggressive, to the point where they're going to kill you, and they have killed people. And then you have Tennessee, Arkansas, the down south. Josh likes to say it's because of the humidity that it makes them ornery, you know. So I would attribute it to just maybe a regional thing. Um, so yeah, Ashes says that in Oklahoma, a Bigfoot are buttholes. Absolutely, they can be. Let's see here. Let me look at Ray's real quick here. Maggie, what cryptids have you actually ran into, and what was the scariest?
Mm.
Well, I've only had one actual I wouldn't that's a sighting. And it didn't scare me. I was kind of left in awe. And that was a Bigfoot. I don't know if that's a story for now or another day, but it
Do
was
not tell
a
that story. Do
all
not
right,
tell
I'll
that
keep my
story.
mouth shut. So a
Oh,
Bigfoot was my cryptid sighting, and then I have been witness to a UFO previously, but that's another show too, I think.
it is. And you guys, I'm sorry. You got to. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you when her episode is going to be released. Her episode is going to be released Wednesday, July 9th. And I'm going to tell you right now, her encounter is super cool. It's not scary. It's
No,
just super chill. It's like, oh hey, look at that.
yeah, there you are, kind
All
of
right,
thing.
cool, man. That's kind of cool. But her episode, man, is fantastic. Her UFO exciting is awesome. Rick, what's up? Um, the probable thing that you and I talked about today, that's
Yes,
terrifying.
yeah,
That's terrifying.
that was really something.
Yeah. We'll tell you, Sabrina, off
I
off
was like, you're
camera.
kidding me out.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
so
So yeah, I know it's not fun. I know you guys want to hear about it, but you know
hey,
what?
suspense is what it's all about. Christmas wouldn't be nearly as fun if you knew what you were getting.
That's so
Great
true.
great things come to those who wait. And I
Patience,
I
promise you,
guess.
the payoff is
patience,
awesome.
grasshoppers.
Trust me. Trust
Maybe
me.
there's a gifted grasshopper out there we can study.
Listen, don't I hate grasshoppers. When I lived
Really?
in Florida, oh yeah, really. When I when I lived in Florida, I was like second, almost third grade, and I lived in Newport. I lived in a few places, but this particular time I lived in Newport Richey, and um, we lived across the street from my grandparents, my nana and my daddy Bob, and I was out playing around in their side yard, and I saw something move in the grass, and I go, "What is that? A lizard?" I'm like, "Cool, I'm all about lizards. Let me go grab this lizard." And when I walked up to it, that was not a lizard, you guys. I kid you not, as sure as I'm sitting here, it was a freaking grasshopper. And this grasshopper, I shit you not, or crap you not, you guys. Oh, I'll just do this. See how tall my phone is? Like from here to here, okay? That grasshopper was like this high. So here's the bottom of my phone here. It was like the whole up here and then to the bottom of my phone. And it was, I'm telling you, it was
Radioactive
blue.
grasshopper?
No, it was blue. It was green. It had
Like a
orange
Jurassic
and
Park
yellow on it.
grasshopper.
My concern is what else is around that eats those giant grasshoppers that's of proportionate size.
Alligators.
Oh
Alligators.
yeah.
But
Well, see, they would be okay, but snakes, no.
I
Big snakes.
stomped. Hey, I stomped on
No
this
snake.
grasshopper.
Oh.
I mean, I'm like second, third grade. I stomped on this grasshopper as hard as I could. All it did was it made that noise,
You just made it mad.
and I ran into my grandpa's house. I'm like, Daddy Bob, that giant grasshopper, huge. And he's like, well, let's go see. So, he takes my hand and I'm pulling him. And I'm like, it's right there. It's right there. And he goes, oh, yeah. I go, I stepped on it. It just went to me. It made a noise like that. He goes, oh, you got to hit those with a hammer. And so he goes and grabs a hammer and goes, whack. And he hit it. And it went, and I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, yeah, if you see those, you got to kill them because they eat. They just eat and eat and eat and eat. But that's the only time I ever saw one that big. Huge. It was crazy. So I just hate bugs in general. I just do.
Bugs don't bother me. Mice don't bother me. Snakes, on the other hand, I could probably set a land speed record.
No, I saw like an AI picture that someone had made way before as popular as AI is now, and it was a squirrel morphed into a like big nasty looking spider and a snake. And I'm like, what? If that was real, yeah, I couldn't live on planet Earth.
And that's the level of screw this that I would be willing to play. See you bye.
Yeah.
Do you not like squirrels either?
This is a good comment.
Yeah,
Squirrels
we
taste
have
really
so many
good.
squirrels here, it's ridiculous.
So Christian says, I'm always thinking Dogman is the evil and Bigfoot is the protector. And that's a great
It's a great analogy. Yeah.
It is, because this is what I honestly I believe. I hear people saying, "Oh, well, I've seen Bigfoot holding a rope that had a dog man attached to it, like he was walking a pet." I'm like, no, I don't believe that.
Doubtful.
I believe that you have when a dog man is in the area, that's your apex predator.
Mm-hmm.
When a Bigfoot enters the picture, that's your apex predator. I'm not saying that, one-on-one, I think a Sasquatch is just going to demolish a dog man. It's just going to wreck it.
Yeah, I
But
think
if you
it's
have
snapping
multiple,
like a milk bone.
oh yeah, for sure. But I think that when a dog man enters a Sasquatch's territory, I think that, and it's not just one Sasquatch, it's multiple Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
They go to either scare it out of the area or eradicate it. I don't believe that they work together. I mean, even though people said, "Oh, I've got video of it," okay, and I'm not disputing it, because again, this is in this whole genre of cryptid, of the cryptids, the probability is there. You can never take any form of probability out of it. So that's just what I think. What do you guys think?
I think you're right. I mean, nothing is. I guess you can't say it's too fanciful to imagine.
Oh no, again. Ready? Hocus Pocus, come back. Abracadabra.
No.
Bewitched.
Oh man.
I Dream a Genie. Boing. Nope.
Oh.
Oh, that was crazy. Ready again.
Oh, I thought. Oh, no way.
I Dream a Genie. Boing. Work.
We're just doing it again.
Yeah.
Ah. Oh.
She's there.
She's
She's
trying.
there. It's thinking. I'm loving the comments going on right here. So Steamboat, he just told everybody, Veronica, I chewed a June bug for $20 in soups in jail one time. I spit it out, but I ate good that week. Man, Steamboat, There was a guy I went to high school with. We called him Junebug.
$20 is $20, Dan.
Well, I don't care. I'm not doing anything. I mean, I've done stuff for $20. Like I ate a whole. I don't have a little container, but I had a container like that you put like dressing in from like a store
Yeah.
or from like a restaurant. I ate a whole thing of crushed red peppers and just one bite, and I thought I was gonna die. Hey, what's up, Robbie?
Yep.
I put 100 mini Tootsie Rolls in my mouth at one time for like $20. Yeah, I did stupid stuff. Yeah.
I was dared when I was younger to put an entire bottle of hot sauce at Golden Corral in my Coke and drink it, and I did. And boy, I'll tell you, I threw up.
She's back.
She's back.
She
Maybe.
was.
You spoke too soon.
I did. I jinxed it. Yep, got a Twitch.
Here, am I there?
I can hear you.
Hear you, yep.
And we lost her again. Hold it, ready. Got to get ready.
See, Ray knows. $20 is $20.
Boing. Nope, it's not working. Martin Groves talks about them working together in the LBL. He has a great story. Oh, Lisa, absolutely. Hopefully this August, God willing. Again, you guys, if you're just popping in, we're talking about the Beast of Bray Road, which kind of already covered some of that stuff. Now we're just talking about Dogman in general, but our guest host, Maggie, she's having technical difficulties. So I'm just kind of interacting with the chat. But you guys, so please, if you guys can just take a minute, either now or after the show, to say a special prayer for Martin Groves. Martin Groves is now unfortunately back in the hospital. He has an infection. That's all I can give you guys. I've talked to Daryl Denton a couple times, he's been friends with Martin Groves for over 40 years. And that's pretty much like 3/4 of their life. They've been friends, like pretty much their whole adult life. They've been friends. So just say a special prayer for Martin Groves for speedy recovery. And then hopefully I'll be able to meet one of my idols in this community come this coming up August. So prayers out there to Martin Groves. Prayers for Mags's internet. I feel so bad for her. She's, when I got a chance to talk with her, I mean, I've always had a good time talking with her in our chat and things like that. But then when I got to sit here and interview her and talk with her, I mean, it's just, a great lady. And her husband, she talked a little bit about him. He sounds like an amazing guy. So
she seems lovely.
Yeah, she's really, really good. She's really good people. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've got 54 people watching, which is fantastic. So if you guys get a chance, did you? Okay, let's see here. Yo, your last 2 interviews you did by far my favorites. Ray, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. So if anybody out there right now has the ability to get people on to come and join this live chat, tell them they're missing out on some fun. That's what we like to do. We like to have fun.
Oh, hey, then I'm cockeyed. Look at that. All right.
Hey, it's all right.
You're here.
I mean, I could be like I can be like this if you need me to.
Right? We just all go to the side. Yeah, like the great computer. I'm printing myself from here, and then I'm not. Did you see me? Maybe.
Look at Ray. Here he goes again, man. You guys, I'm telling you right now, Ray awesome. He is one of the most generous members that I have. Yep. I love all my members. I love all my subscribers. Because again, if it wasn't for you guys, honestly, I couldn't do what I'm doing. Everything that I make from here, and again, I'm by no means am I gonna be able to quit my day job doing this. But I'm putting it right back into the channel. I'm trying to wheel and deal and get merchandise made. So I am going to tell you guys, I am going to be doing another giveaway. Andre Nelson won our hat from our last giveaway. I'm waiting for some other merch that I'm working on getting that I'm going to be putting that into 1, possibly 2 giveaways. So instead of just 1 winner, we'll have 2 winners. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. So where were we before the tech bugs started
The
messing
tech
around.
bug. Yeah, lots of tech bugs.
Somebody was asking, which I was gonna say about whether these things are the nice or the Bigfoots are nice and the Dogman, but somebody in the chat commented something about whether they think the Dogmen work together. And I don't know if you've heard of the story. That's probably one I've heard on another podcast. It's about the guy who was, I believe, in Kentucky. He was an electric line worker. I don't know if you guys have heard that story. He was an electric line worker, and they had a big storm down there. I can't tell you what part. I don't know. It might not even be Kentucky, but he was sent down to work on the lines, and I guess he was by himself. He was new to that area, and he said that while he was up in the bucket of the truck and he was up there fixing the line, he said he was up in the truck and he heard this rummaging around underneath, and he kept thinking like, oh, maybe it might just be another animal, it might be something else, he said. And then it just kind of started pinging around him. He would hear something over here, something behind him on the truck, and then something to his left and his right, and it just kind of started sounding like they were circling him. And he said the closer they got, the heavier it also sounded. And he said that he looked down and he said, thank God I was in this bucket up in the air. But he said there was like 5 to 8 of them. And he said it was literally a whole pack of dogmen. And he said that they were circling his truck. He was absolutely scared for his life. They were trying to climb up on the arm of the truck to get to him in the bucket. And I can't remember how long he said this went on for. He was absolutely terrified because he didn't want to come down, and he was afraid that, I guess, there's like a button on the side of the truck for emergencies for the bucket to come back down. He said he was afraid that one of them was going to somehow push one of these buttons and the bucket was going to have to come down. And he said they were throwing rocks at him. They were up on 2 feet. Some of them were on all fours. And he said they were throwing rocks at him up in the bucket. And after a certain amount of time, I guess they got tired of him, that they couldn't get up to him. And he said that the ones that were smaller ran off into the woods, but he said the big one, he said that was, I guess, the big alpha or whatever. He said it stood up on 2 feet and it looked him right in his eyes and it snarled at him like it was mad that they couldn't get to him in the bucket. And then he just booked it out of the area on all fours.
Nope.
That'd be terrifying.
I know.
No, and no.
So they might be
Have pack mentality.
Yeah, some of them at least.
That's crazy.
No, thank you.
Casey, hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the chat. Who else we got in here? Bloodwolf, what's up, buddy? Or I don't want to assume. I don't know. Bloodwolf, welcome. Welcome to the chat. And hey, Jason, don't worry about it, man. I don't understand why it's not accepting. If you could join, I know through like laptop or desktop, for some reason, phones, it doesn't give you the option or allow you to join as a member. So
that is it. Naoma said it was out of Taylor, Mississippi. That's what it was. Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look into that. I'd love to hear more about that stuff. So, and Kristen has also heard a similar story as well. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. I absolutely love it. Any new people in here first time, and he's lucky he was in the bucket. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm definitely, I love hearing stories like that. Again, now, before I was getting tons of Bigfoot stories, which I absolutely love, and I will accept those every single day, a million times a day. I love getting now more Dogman stories in, but I'm still looking for the odd cryptids. And again, they're not really odd, but Mothman, Jersey Devil, Kushtaka. We are working on, we're definitely working on a Lizard Man show. We're going to really research that and try to get as much as we can. Now, I know we did a live where we had already talked about a Lizard Man attack that was in South Carolina, but there's got to be more out there. So we're going to be doing some things like that. Yeah, so just stay tuned. I heard something about a frogman, like frogmen.
Frogman Fest,
yeah.
There's a festival here in Ohio for that.
Really?
Yeah, I've gone 3 years in a row. It's legit. It's a legit thing. Yeah.
Frogman Festival, huh?
Yep. They have it for anybody who's in the chat who wants, it's in Southern Ohio up towards Kings Island by Dayton. They usually have it at the Great Wolf Lodge Convention Center. They have it. This is the 3rd year, I believe, so they'll be having it again next year. It's really fun. They have vendors and it's really cool. Some really cool stuff.
So what does said frogman look like?
Exactly what you would think it would look like. Maybe like a 3 or 4 foot giant toad. That's
The frogment of Loveland.
Yep.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing. Yep.
Oh my
Well,
no!
I don't live very far from, the fabled melon heads of Michigan either. Yeah.
Freaked me out. Yeah,
That's
frogman.
remember when I was reading out of
The story about him.
Mhm.
yeah. Well, what book?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in this book. Remember, I was reading out of this book right here.
Yep.
Yeah, the particular area where they're at here is Felt Mansion. It's the Dunes State Park here in Saugatuck. It's right on the Lake Michigan shoreline in the Dunes Park. And the Felt Mansion, prior to having it been after Felt had died, it was a Catholic seminary. Actually, our current Pope went to school there.
Huh.
Yeah, weird bit of knowledge. But they apparently also had a home for the infirm, which were children born with water on the brain, encephalitis, and then for hydrocephaly, monikered and named the melon heads, and that is like a huge folklore around this area through the Saugatuck area and surrounding areas by us. You go out at night, the melon heads will get you. You better behave.
The melon heads.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed the entire time I read the story.
Yeah,
This is what Racing's saying. There's a weird cryptid in West Virginia that people talk about, like a 2-headed giant turtle. What?
Yep.
What?
I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, there's like whole lores about it, art and stuff. I thought you knew that one.
No, I haven't heard of that either. I mean, like the 2 head portion represent the good and the bad and the weight of decision, or
Couldn't tell you. I don't know much about it. I've just seen like a few things here and there, or at like festivals, some people who do like cryptid art will have it up, or they'll make like crochet stuffed animals that are like imitating it, and it's kind of cute. I'm not gonna lie.
See, now I have to
Look it up.
I have to know more about this stuff. See, I learn so much every time. Man,
we need one of our Grammys to crochet us a dog man and a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I know how to cross stitch.
Hey, that's something. Yeah.
Hey, I did it when I was a kid. I made my mom a little tiny panda bear with a heart that says "I love you."
Aww.
Yeah. Oh, nothing. Now I got 2 guys here trying to gross each other out. I got Jason and Steamboat. Well, I ate an earthworm when I was a little boy, and Steamboat's talking about $20 eating a June bug. Okay, let's get back on.
$20.
I'm gonna go ahead and read another story from book 2 of Beware the Woods. Again from Tony Urban. This one is again. Hey, what's up, Robbie? Dog man in Michigan. Now this the witness's name is Ace Klein. The sighting took place in Scottsville, Michigan.
Home of that clown band, friend.
Are you kidding me?
No, sir.
No,
Scottsville marching clown band.
Here
Okay,
we go.
Are you talking about ICP, Insane Clown Posse, or are you talking about
No, they're
like circus clowns?
true life circus clowns. And Google it once, Sabrina Scottsville marching clown band. It's a true thing. That's what they're known for. It's a spit and you miss it town, but they got the clowns.
I'm telling you. Ray, look at you. He is killing it tonight. You guys, that's a total of 30. That's a total of 30 gifted subs. Ray, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Neoma, I can't wait to talk to you. Listen, you ate a cicada? Man, what is going on?
Who said that? Because I'm gonna scold them.
Ray Stings did.
Ray, please.
Cicada.
Ray, no. No.
What is your problem, man?
There's nasty stuff that comes out of them when you squeeze them.
Oh, good Lord.
Ray, you're grounded.
Okay, before I read this story, now we're talking about gross stuff and what people have eaten. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what I've eaten, but I was in the military, so whenever I went someplace, I try to immerse myself into the culture. So I've eaten some really weird stuff that I won't eat again, but when I was there, I would do it. But so up in Alaska, they have these giant slugs, like banana slugs. Okay. And my dad was probably like 7, 8 years old. And this is before Ketchikan became a really big, place. My dad says he remembers Ketchikan having dirt roads. And I want to say it was the Haidas or the Tlinkits. I think it was the Tlinkits. That was the native tribe up there. And my dad adored this little girl, right? This Tlingit girl. And he convinced her to take a bite out of a banana slug. And my dad goes, "That's the first time I'd ever had the brakes beat off of me." He goes, that little native girl beat me from pillar to post." And I laughed so hard when he told me that story. I'm like, so again, I've eaten crickets, I've eaten spiders, I've eaten things like that, but they're all cooked. Everything was cooked. Again, when you're deployed to certain parts of the world,
That's what they eat.
that's what they eat. So you got to
Yeah.
try it. And trust me, I didn't want to eat it, but they were being very gracious to us. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. Okay, stop talking about exactly Steamboat. Let's stop stop talking about it. Okay, so this is this sighting took place near the clown town. Summer of 92.
Where all
Okay.
the clowns came out.
Ugh.
Girl,
Yeah, you just need to
Mm.
firebomb that place. I had a lot of bad habits growing up, but the one that would have really gotten my hide tanned was smoking. Both of my folks smoked cigarettes, not dope, but if they had caught me, I would have been in some deep trouble. That's why I had to be very discreet about it. Here and there, I'd be able to to an older kid in town into buying me a pack of smokes, but most of the time I'd just steal smokes from my mom and my dad's packs when they weren't looking. Cigarettes were pretty cheap back then, so they didn't exactly keep count. Wouldn't be able to get away with it nowadays. No sirree, Bob. I grew up on a farm. We had a few big fields where Dad grew winter wheat and soybeans. Sometimes uh, he tried his hand at corn too. We didn't have much in the way of livestock, just a few chickens and pigs. The family used to see this is the family used to though. Okay. My grandfather had over 100 head of steer back when my dad was a boy. It just got to be too much work though, and when Dad took over the farm, the animals went by the wayside. We still had the barn though. It was a rickety old thing with big gaps between the wood planks, uh, about about as airtight as a sieve. But Dad used to store his tractor and equipment in it, and it did the job just fine. I found my own use for the barn though. I'd go on the backside of it and smoke. There, no one could see me from the house, and it was plenty far enough away that the smell of cigarette smoke didn't waft over and get me into a pickle. I was back there puffing away when I heard something move inside the barn. It sounded big and heavy, and I wasn't sure if it was my dad. He must have ducked inside to grab a tool or a can of diesel or something. I was so startled that I swallowed my spit and started coughing. Yeah, 13 years old, I was a real cool cucumber. I was trying to figure out where I could ditch the cigarette when I saw something moving through the gaps in the siding. It sure as heck wasn't my dad. I knew that because this thing was covered in fur. As I said, the only animals we had on the farm were chickens and pigs. This animal was dark gray. All I could think about was one of the neighbor's horses must have wandered into our property and into the barn. When you live in the country, that sort of thing actually happens quite often. I was relieved it wasn't my dad and that I wasn't going to get busted for smoking. I pinched off the end of my cigarette and set it on the fence, planning to come back later for it. Then I circled to the entrance of the barn. I had all intentions of leading the horse back to its rightful owner, figured there might even be a little reward in it for me. I didn't expect it, but I wouldn't have turned it down either, except when I looked into the barn, I wasn't looking at a horse. Truthfully, I didn't know what I was looking at the time, but over the years, I've heard enough people in these parts talking about that. See, of these parts talking that I can give it a name, and that name is Dogman. It was crouched down on the haunches and eating from a bag of cat food that we had kept in there for the barn cats, just gobbling it down like a dog eating kibble. About that time, my foot came down on a loose board, which let out a loud creak as my weight dropped onto it. The dogman immediately jumped up onto its two hind legs. It was standing there. It was standing like a man, but was hunched over. Its body and legs and head all looked like they belong on a dog, but the body was much longer than a dog's. It almost looked deformed. We had a stare down that lasted no more than 10 seconds. I don't want to interfere. I do not want to infer that I was being brave. I was just too shocked to run, but the dog man ran. It ran straight at me. As for being brave, well, I'm ashamed to admit, but my bladder let loose on the spot. Turns out it wasn't even coming for me. It was just running for the door, and it blew by me. As it did, one of its front legs or arms or whatever you want to call it hit me in the jaw hard enough that it made me see stars. By the time I shook it off and turned around, I saw the dog man running into the woods on the north side of our property. I really couldn't believe it, but the bruise it left on my face was proof I hadn't dreamed this whole thing. A few days later, Dad came home from a trip to town and told us that one of the neighbors had seen a dog the size of a man. I asked Dad if the dog was walking on its hind legs, and he looked at me as if I could have knocked him over with a feather. What did you just say? I asked him again. He said it was. I told Dad about what I had seen in the barn. I left out the part about smoking. I don't know if he believed me for sure, but he told me to stay out of the barn unless he was with me. That only lasted for a few weeks, and then life went on. I never saw anything else, but there have been plenty of sightings in the area over the last few years. The author asks, can you tell me more about the physical appearance? I guess it had pointed ears that sat on the top of its head like you'd see on a wolf, but it didn't look particularly like a wolf. Its face wasn't as rounded as a wolf's, but it had more of a stubbly muzzle, too. And it was thick. It was very broad. Did you notice whether the front legs had paws or hands? They were more similar to hands. They were long fingers or toes that had black claws on them on the end of each finger. When it was eating the cat food, was it using its hands? No, it had its face in the bag. It was just chowing it down. Do you think that it intended to hit you when it ran out of the barn? I have no idea. It was just a glancing blow, not a tackle. How tall was it when it was on two legs? About my dad's height, 6 feet, give or take an inch. One last thing. Did you ever get to finish your cigarette? Nope. It rained that night, and by the time I got to it, it was all wet. And that is that encounter from Michigan. That's pretty
That's
creepy.
a good one. It's creepy. Scottville's very
Yeah.
close to, Wexford County. It's in Lake County, so not far, neighboring county, probably 20 miles.
Yeah. Oh, hey, when we do that Elkhorn trip, my daughter's gonna come with.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, she's like, "What are we gonna do? Look for Bigfoot?" I go, "No, we're looking for Dogman."
Dogman.
What's Dogman? I go,
Trouble.
It's a lot worse.
We're just asking for trouble with this one.
We're looking for trouble.
Oh man.
Pesky kids. But yeah. Anybody in the chat have any questions? Any more questions? If not, I'll go ahead and I'll read some more.
Rated earlier, he said, "What if there is a dog man or a Bigfoot in a clown suit? What would you do?"
Well, let's see here. Let's see.
And that was another super question from him in the highlighted green.
What?
Suggest he move to Scottville.
Yeah.
Man, let's see.
I would be throwing hands or running. That's all I gotta say. I'm not
Well,
doing.
I'm just gonna preference this. Okay. One, I'm prior Air Force, security police, small arms expert, combat arms trainer. I'm a firearms instructor. I was a correctional officer. I was part of the prison CERT team and prisoner recovery team. I think it's the wild, wild west everywhere I go. And so, yeah, if I see I don't care if it's a clown, if it's an evil. You remember a few years ago when those idiots were dressed up in clowns?
No.
And they would be like on the side of a dirt road when someone was driving down, or they'd come walking out of a cornfield, or you'd go walking down like this path, and they would
were
chase
going
people.
up on people's porches and stuff.
Yep.
Were any of them killed doing that? I mean, did anybody lose their life?
I don't know, but
I don't think so.
If they would have ran into me, they would have.
Yeah.
Like for real. My ex-wife had a friend that I didn't particularly care for, and I worked at a bar. And as I came home later at night, I didn't close it. I think I came home around like midnight, 1 o'clock, and the bar closed at 2. I was a bouncer, and I came in, always coming through the back. And if you open up the back door, you right directly to your left, you have like 3 steps that go up into the kitchen, or you have stairs that go down into the basement. And that's where I slept, down in the basement. And family room and laundry room, spare bedroom or spare bathroom down there. Well, as I come walking in, I immediately catch movement coming, downstairs. I'm like, who's down here? So I go and I start to flip the light on, and I hear something coming up the stairs. And I flip the light on, and there was this scary clown. Like one of those like horror clowns, like coming up on all fours up the stairs.
Please tell me you kicked him in the face.
And I had my boot up, and I was getting ready to put my boot in their face. And then I hear, Daniel, it's me. And I'm like, get the F out of my house right now. I said, I almost kicked you down those stairs. Get out of my house. And then my ex-wife's like, oh, it's so funny. I said, she almost got killed.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
That's not funny at all.
No, I don't play games like that.
No.
Has anyone seen the Beast of Bray Road movie? I saw the one Small Town Cryptids did. That was spooky.
Yep.
I mean, even I know it was more of a documentary, it was still scary.
They also, I don't know if you guys know, they do have 2 of their newer, within the past like 3 or 4 years, they are the American Werewolf documentaries. So there are extra tales.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Speaking of werewolves, let's get into a werewolf story here. This one is
cat hair on my face.
This one's overseas. Yeah, I saw your cat. What a cutie.
She had to come visit. That's Florence Ann DeFloof is her name.
DeFloof. Yeah, everybody in the chat was loving her.
Well, thanks, guys. She's a pretty special kitty cat.
Let's see, Honey Island Swamp. You know what? I've been trying to get in. I've just been too busy. But the Honey Island Swamp Monster, I would definitely want to look into that one as well. We're gonna read a story that Linda Godfrey recorded. German military werewolves. Let me kind of find that. Okay. Here we go. You guys ready? This is gonna be awesome.
Ready.
I'm ready. Read it up.
All right. German military werewolves. This story occurred in Germany in 1971. I received another compelling report of encounters of military bases or installations over the years, and several, like this one, have compared the creatures to Anubis.
Hmm.
One of the first and most startling of those accounts was published in Hunting the American Werewolf and recounted the sighting made by 3 night guards at North Chicago's Great Lake Naval Training Center on Lake Michigan in 1994. The grounds, let's see here, the grounds the witnesses patrolled included a military graveyard as well. In that incident, all 3 saw the creature standing at the edge of the small wood at about 3 a.m., revealed by the larger flashlights that they carried as it stared at them with greenish yellow eyes. The naval guard who wrote me about this encounter said it was black furred with the body of a man and a jackal-like head that reminded her of Anubis. It stood 6.5 or 7 feet tall. One of the witnesses was Navajo, and he immediately began to repeat, "Skinwalker, Skinwalker," referring to the conjured creature discussed earlier in an unusual association with the American Southwest and with Navajo. Whether Skinwalker or Anubis, when it ran away into the darkness, it did so on its hind legs. So did the creature seen by the next eyewitnesses, Ian Robertson Molden, a British officer who had yet another name for the creature, werewolf. And he wrote, in 1971, I had just finished military college and was posted to, I'm not even going to pretend how to
Oh,
make
keep
an
going. I
English,
love the accent.
Fallen Bostel in northern West Germany as a second, they call them lieutenants. Did you know that? Not lieutenant, lieutenant.
Mm-mm.
As a second lieutenant in the Royal Military Police Special Investigation Branch, so I would have been regarded as a credible witness. During my first week in this location, I had to report to the Medical Reception Center to visit a soldier. See, I can't do it. Several several regiments, including my own, were in a specific area, but the medical reception was around 500 yards away, Governor, via the footpath surrounded by a wooded area on each side. Halfway to the med center was a small WRVS shop, a little like an American PX. Having visited the soldier, I made my way back to the unit. The whole area was almost desolate as the division was away on an exercise, leaving myself and rear parties. As I approached I'll just call it the PX. As I approached the PX area, I noticed a dog in the undergrowth ahead of me. It looked like a German Shepherd or an Alsatian, Alsatian. I don't know what that is. This gave me a little concern, as it was a high rabies area. I stopped at first, then moved slowly towards the dog. There was no way avoiding it, as it was a mere 10 feet from the path, and there was no other way past it. I stopped approximately 40 feet from the animal to assess the danger. I was confused about its appearance, as the dog had a long snout like a German Shepherd, but incredibly long ears. It looked more like the dog seen in Egyptian hieroglyphics, Anubis. I think its snout and ears were much longer than I've ever seen on a dog. I think its weight was significant as it was very slender. Standing, it had more of a dog's width of the body, but certainly was designed to stand and walk, as it was very steadily on its feet. Realizing there was no other route around it, I gingerly started to walk slowly down the path, keeping it under observation. As I got to around 20 to 30 feet from it, it stood up on its hind legs. It was around 7 or 8 feet tall. I had no chance to observe further as it started to walk towards me. Initially, I thought it was some sort of very thin bear, as its body was dog-like, but there was no indigenous bears in that area of Germany. As I mentioned, it resembled the ancient depiction of Anubis, but with a dog's body and not a human's. Its color was dark brown, from what I could see, a pretty persistent color too. Had it been a dog, it would have had a lighter underside, which it didn't. It sat directly watching me, and then stood in complete silence. Uh, it made no animal noises of any kind. I don't remember. I didn't recall at the time any particular eye color or any shine with its eyes. Just appeared to be dark like a bear's eyes. I certainly didn't get close enough to smell it. I was off and running when that happened. To be honest, I ran like hell back to the medical center. In fact, I didn't stop running as I was unaware whether or unsure or not that this thing was following me. As I mentioned previously, there was no other easy way to get back to the garrison, and I eventually decided to take the long route back via the local town, a trip of around 3 miles. Several days later, still thinking I had seen some sort of dog unknown to me, I mentioned my experience to a female German clerk. She casually said, "Oh, you must have seen the werewolf. You were lucky to escape." Werewolf was a word Ian had not considered, but his description of the camp surrounding the area certainly creepy enough to make a supernatural wolf creature feel right at home. He did continue. I knew little about Fallenbrostel when this happened, as I had only been there a few days. Werewolves were quite believed there. Apparently, had been recorded, as many sightings have been recorded. As aside, the whole area was strange. The Fallenbrostel Cemetery had an armed guard at night due to grave robbing. What the heck? We assumed it was also. We assumed. We assumed it also had a heavily fenced grave there of someone called Camellia Kernstein, who the inscription said was either bitten to death by a vampire or was a vampire. My German wasn't that good at the time. Linda then asked Ian if he had any more information about the vampire story, and he discovered the name Camellia Kernstein was from a novel about a female vampire published in several forms around 1872, 26 years before the world was introduced to Dracula by Bram Stoker. The author Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu may have based his main character on true horrors such as Elizabeth Bathory, a Transylvania countess known for her grisly murders of hundreds of young girls in what is now Slovakia. Bathory lived from 1560 to 1614, and her shocking acts were well known in Europe. She is said to have dabbled in cannibalism and also bathed in human blood in the belief that it would keep her young. She was eventually imprisoned for her deeds. And okay, I don't know how to pronounce this city, but it's in Hungary. Is believed to be the site of where her body is its final resting place. Bad Fallenbrostel translation of bath or spa in German, was once ringed by forests that did contain wolves, and the last known wolf in that region was believed to have been killed in 1872 and is now memorialized with a large rock known as the Wolfenstein, or literally Wolfstone. That did not mean wolves would never come back to the area. However, wolves have been seen in the former area of the forest as recently as 2012, 40 years after Ian's sighting. So that is, I don't know what I would do. Honestly, I would not know what to do if I'm walking down the street and I see this thing on the side of the path. I don't care where I got to go. I think I need to go back that way.
The other way, I guess.
Exactly. There's no way I'm going to go up to it to try to get a better look. Oh,
No, you don't want to be
absolutely
one of
not.
those people that pet the bison in Yellowstone.
No. Well, I do, but
At what cost?
Right.
have your pants ripped off of you. But no, so that's that one. Let's see, what else do I got here? I got a couple.
Ray asked in the chat earlier, he said, hold on, I've been meaning to ask this. Dan, have you heard anything about cat people?
Yes, I have. I'm very intrigued by it, but I've heard it mentioned, but I haven't heard any stories. So yes, I would definitely like to know more. Jojo, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining. Who did I miss? Did I miss anybody new coming in? Dogman associated with the graveyards.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Thank you for the prayer. Okay, yeah. I'm just kind of scanning through here. Boy, I'll tell you, how do you say her name again? Miss Finn. I'm just calling her Miss Finn.
Naomi.
Naomi?
Naoma.
Naoma. Okay, Naoma. Well, she is full of just knowledge. Yeah, I can't wait.
It's a wealth of knowledge. I can't see the
Yeah.
chat, obviously, because of computer difficulty, but
she,
it's pretty amazing.
She's here. Dogman is associated with graveyards.
Yep.
Some think they are guardians of graves. Others think they dig up fresh graves. Okay, I've heard that, and that's nasty. And then let's see here. Did you spell? That's exactly what I spelled. As in an all, like Al, like Al Bundy. Alsatian. If so, we call that a German Shepherd. Okay. All right. See? Told you. I'm learning new things. I was learning new things every single day.
New things
I
every
was
day.
learning.
He's learned.
I'm gonna read this story right here. And this one here, I'm gonna give y'all this little southern drawl. And please, if anybody in here is from down south, I got family from West Virginia. I lived in Tennessee for a long time. I'm country. And I can bring it on, and I can turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah, hill jack.
That's what my daughter calls me. She calls me a hill jack.
It's a hill jack.
I go, honey, I said, let me ask you, do you think I'm a hillbilly or do you think I'm a redneck? And she goes, Daddy, I think you's a hill jack. And I go, well, what's a hill jack? And she's like, that's both of them. I'm like, okay.
Redneck hillbilly.
I'm a redneck hillbilly, hill jack. Or you can just call me Miss or call me Finn. I'll call you Finn then. Okay, so Michigan Dog Man, Traverse City, Michigan, April 1987. John passed the oncoming car, and then he flipped his brights on of his pickup truck and glanced at the dashboard clock. The drive from Traverse City back to his home in Luther shouldn't take too long. He figured he'd be home before midnight. That song came on the radio again, the one that had started as an April Fool's joke cooked up by two radio DJs. It had the whole town of Traverse City worked up about the legendary monster Dog Man. John listened as the song told about the sightings and the legend. He couldn't believe the hoax had earned national attention. The song concluded with these haunting words: "Somewhere in the Northwood darkness, a creature walks upright. And then the best advice you may never get is never to go out at night."
I'm gonna get my spoons for you.
Yeah.
Play the juice harp. John shivered. It was the first time he'd heard the song while driving down a Michigan county road or country road at night. In this setting, it had a disturbing effect. John was about to change the station when the radio host came on. "Jack O'Malley got an interesting call that came in after he played that song this morning. Stay tuned during the quick commercial break and we'll play the clip when we come back." John sighed and decided to keep listening. He suffered through a string of commercials. He'd missed the morning show. Jack O'Malley was his favorite, but by the time the commercials were done, he'd almost forgotten what he was waiting for until he heard Jack O'Malley's voice. "Hello, caller. You're on with O'Malley. What did you want to tell us?" The wheezing voice of an elderly man answered, "That song chills me to the bone. I saw it many years ago. I saw a dog man monster." O'Malley chuckled. "Thanks for the call, sir. For all you folks listening out there, remember, the legend says the dogman appears every 7 years. Keep your eyes open." John laughed along with O'Malley, and the time he changed the channel. Luther, Michigan, July 1987. John went around the back of the truck and filled his arms up with the grocery bags while his wife went ahead to open up the front door. He was already on his way behind her when he heard her scream. From inside, their black lab chief started barking. "What's the matter?" he asked, hurrying to her. "Look," she said. "Look at all those marks. Something was trying to get into the house." John set his grocery bags on the porch and studied the marks. The entire front door frame was destroyed, marked with jagged scratches and splintered wood. "It looks like it's over here in the window, too," she pointed in the front window. John studied that spot as well. "And gross! It looks like it's slobbered all over here." Even though she hadn't actually touched it, she yanked her hand away from the window as if she had. "Look at this," John said as he pointed to the tuft of black fur caught on the splintered woods. "What do you think that is from?" "I think it might be from a bear." John stuttered. Bear marks don't look like that, and I can't think of any other animal that could do that. Maybe it was that dog man monster." And that's it. There's that one.
That's just crazy. They're literally all over the place.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't hear about Dogman until I got here.
Yep.
I never did. Now I've heard about werewolves.
Yeah.
Again from my dad, and then the Morbach monster or Morbach monster. Yeah. And then
That dogman term is a relative new thing, I think.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
Maybe just different name. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And then next page. Here we go. The Beast of Bray Road.
Hey, right there.
Now, where's Erin, Wisconsin?
Erin, Wisconsin. I'm thinking it's going to be just a little bit, maybe to the north and east or west a touch.
Okay. This was November 9th of 2006. Nathan had been driving for a while, picking up roadkill. Oh my gosh. Picking up roadkill along Highway 167. As he cruised through the dark night, he spotted yet another victim, a fairly young deer. He eased onto the shoulder, switched on his flashing lights atop his truck, and pulled out his list of scheduled pickups. This guy isn't on my list, he said to himself. He set down the list, grabbed his gloves, and then opened his door. Before getting out, he turned on the lights in the truck bed, eyeing the deer he debated getting. Let's see, eyeing the deer he debated getting a aluminum ramp, which he sometimes used to drag large carcasses up into the truck. This deer was small enough, well under 100 pounds, that he decided he would do without the ramps. He walked over to the carcass and heaved it up into his arms. He carried it towards the truck. "You must be a fresh one," he said. Most of the animals that he had gathered were already stiff from rigor mortis, because it had set in. But this one hung limply in his arms. Despite his sturdy frame and the strength he developed from doing this work, heaving the dead deer into the back of the truck took a good deal of strength, but Nathan managed. With the deer in the truck, Nathan reminded himself to make note that his unplanted stopped. So when he got back into the cab, he marked it on his list and took off into the cold November air, leaving his tailgate open behind him. The light in the truck bed shone against the bloated bodies of the roadkill that he had been gathering. He was startled when the truck began to shake. It stopped for a moment, but then it started to shake again. "What in the—" Nathan began to say, but he caught movement in his rearview mirror. His eyes widened. Nathan saw a sight that he'd never seen before. A large, furry bear was leaning over the tailgate and into the back of his truck, trying to grab a bite to eat. Except this wasn't a bear. It had black hair and stood tall on its hind legs, but its ears weren't rounded. They were sharp and pointy. Plus, the creature's long wolf-like muzzle was bigger than that of a bear's. If this wasn't a bear or a wolf, what was it? As Nathan realized that he was looking at a creature he couldn't identify, a wave of panic settled in. He shifted his truck into drive and tore away from the scene. And clang of metal hitting the pavement echoed into the night behind him. What the? His ramp? The creature had pulled the deer out of the truck, and his aluminum ramp had fallen out with it. Nathan drove for a few more minutes to calm down. He wondered how he was going to explain the missing ramp. He didn't like the idea of telling anybody what he had seen. After all, he lived in the area long enough to know that plenty of people had reported seeing a beast much like the creature he had just encountered. In fact, so many reports had come in from nearby Elkhorn, Wisconsin, in the 80s and the 90s that the sighting had been all over the news. The unusual animal was given the name Beast of Bray Road because several of the eyewitnesses' accounts occurred along that road. One of the reporters on the case even wrote an entire book, I was talking about Linda, about it after she became convinced that the claims could not be a hoax and that the creature could not logically fall into any previously identified species. Nathan didn't want any of the media attention, and he sure didn't want any taunting that seemed to come with reporting something like this. Those poor people in Elkhorn had been harassed by reporters and practical jokers for a long time after they had come forward. Nope, Nathan wanted to avoid all of that. Of course, on the other hand, he couldn't exactly return the truck with the missing ramp, not without explaining why is it gone. So he decided to circle back. If he'd found the ramp, he could just pretend that nothing had ever happened. When he got to the spot where he had seen the beast, he stopped and cautiously got out. His stomach knotted as he peered around quickly as possible. Thankfully, whatever he had seen was gone, along with the deer carcass. Unfortunately, the creature must have dragged away the ramp along with its catch, because the ramp was nowhere to be found. Nathan climbed back into his truck and kept on his rounds for the next few hours, debating whether or not he should report the incident. He worried that people would make fun of him, but he finally concluded that, based on the immense size of whatever had taken the carcass from the truck bed, it was dangerous. People needed to know about this animal and know that it was out there. If it would approach his truck with the lights flashing, it could be aggressive enough to harm a person. As he entered the sheriff's office in West Bend, Nathan felt his face flush with heat. He couldn't explain why he was so embarrassed to make this report, except for that he was a rational person, and what he was about to tell the officer on duty seemed a little crazy. "Can I help you?" "Yes, sir," Nathan replied, clearing his throat. "I need a report seeing a large animal out on Highway 167. The deputy looked at him, raising an eyebrow. "All right, what exactly did you see?" "Well, it was big. It was covered with fur like a bear, but it wasn't a bear." Nathan shifted his weight and swallowed. "If you took a wolf's head and enlarged it, and then you set it on a bear's body, that's what it looked like." The deputy wrote notes as Nathan spoke. The deputy asked, "Could it have been someone in a fur suit?" Nathan chuckled nervously. No, not really. This was an unscheduled pickup. No one could have known I was going to be in that area." "Well, maybe one of your buddies thought it'd be fun to scare you," the deputy persisted. Nathan replied, "Hmm, it didn't have the size or form of a person. Besides, who'd want to jump into a truck full of roadkill just for a laugh?" "Bears are rare around here," the deputy replied, still trying to grasp the logic of the explanation. "But they do come around from time to time. I've seen all kinds of animals on the road, on the side of the road, in the road, making dinner out of a carcass that I'm coming along to pick up. I know what a bear looks like."
Sorry, guys.
Was that me?
No, it was me. My internet just popped back on.
Oh, awesome.
Autoplay kicked in.
Nice. Let's see here. Where was I at? For carcasses that I'm coming along to pick up, I know what a bear looks like. This was not a bear. Just as Nathan feared, his words quickly got out about his experience on Highway 167. By the next night, it was all over the news. Nathan refused to show his face on camera, and people had begun to say that he'd perhaps seen Bigfoot. But Nathan felt certain that this was not a Bigfoot. After 2 days of news coverage, another person came forward saying they had seen the same creature around that area a couple of years earlier. With the accounts of this type of bear in the area dating back to 1936, it seems clear-cut that there is something else living among the trees and pastures of Wisconsin, something that is elusive enough to avoid capture but not afraid to have close encounters with humans. All witnesses firmly deny that it could have been a bear, and although it looks more like a wolf, it walks and even runs on 2 feet, a physical improbability for a standard wolf. If a wolf wanted to run away, it would naturally do so on all fours, not on 2.
Yeah.
All of this certainly leaves us to wonder if it could have been some sort of werewolf. But without physical evidence, wondering is all we can do. Okay, so you guys, look what is on the next page.
I told you.
The Loveland Frogman. Are you
Oh,
kidding me?
It's just meant to be. It's just
So-
meant to be. Also,
Oh.
fun thing for you. In the chat, we have somebody in here from Australia and Germany.
Okay, hold
Hey,
on. Where are we at
welcome.
here? Where are we at? Let me see if I can find them.
JoJo's from Australia.
Oh, really? Hey, Jojo. So let me ask you. So it's like morning over there, or like midday, or close, or like mid afternoon. I don't know, but thanks for coming on, and I love hearing that people coming on from like Italy, Australia. Have you had any kind of encounter with the Yowie or anything like that? So, Shade Viking, what's up, buddy? And then our German viewer, Guten Abend, wie geht's? Ich bin Daniel, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. So hopefully they understand. But again, in Germany, they have different dialects. So Bavarian versus, up there. It's 1:30 there. It's 10:30 here. That's awesome.
You got some
It
good people.
I do. Hey, Jojo, so do you know of anybody, or have you had any encounters with the Yowie? I would love to hear them. So my email address is scrolling through the bottom, the cryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. If you have, I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, it says Aboriginal. Okay, so anything else? Anybody else want to ask any more questions? All I know is Rammstein's lyrics. Come on, Steamboat. Du hast mich.
German's hard. I took 2 years of German, and the only thing I can remember is how to count and say a very inappropriate sentence, and that's it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this is cool. A Yowie sighting 650 meters away from my house near the creek. Yowies are in the mountains 6 kilometers from me. Yeah, please, Jojo, will you please email me? And if I need to get up at oh, I know a lot of German swear words. I know how to get slapped and order beer. If I have to get up like super early to do an interview with you, Jojo, I will. Or even if I have to do like a 10 o'clock interview and get you at 1 o'clock your time, I would love to do that. So if you can please shoot me an email, the cryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. The Yowie is like, what? Oh, please do.
Please.
But the Yowie, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. The Yowie is like on my bucket list of interviews, is to have a Yowie interview. That I would love to. So yes, please send me an email with your encounter, and also that picture would be fantastic. It'd be awesome.
Oh man, to see the difference between what they would look like from here to there is it's so good.
Oh, for sure. It'd be fantastic. So again, you guys, I'm gonna open it back up to the chat. Any questions for Maggie, for Sabrina, for me? Now I've got Jason and Steamboat talking about
Rammstein battle there.
Rammstein. So I haven't had an encounter with. You haven't had an encounter with the Yowie? Sabrina says they're exactly like Bissy. They are. So yeah, they are exactly like. See, I see. Okay, no, this is crazy. Who in here has watched Naked and Afraid? Give me a 1 in the chat if you've watched Naked and Afraid.
1.
So I've seen it. So there was a recent episode on Naked and Afraid, and they're in Australia. And I want to say it's a couple of weeks ago. And 2 of the people, damn, that message I sent you with that interview of that lady, you might want to watch, because she has something interesting about Bigfoot being able to travel through portals. I'll address that in a second. The photo is from behind. It's walking in the brush alongside the road. Oh my gosh. Yes. If you can send that over to me right now, I'll put that on I'll put that on the show right now. So it's the Cryptid Podcast 72@gmail.com. If you're able to. If not, then say what?
Steamboat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So okay. So here's the thing, you guys. So with the whole naked and afraid, so there's people out there, when you're out there doing, when you're naked and afraid, you're going out and you're scavenging, you're foraging, you're doing stuff to try to better your position to where so you can survive as long, right? And they come across what they say. Well, whoa, look at this nest. Look at this nest, and they showed it, and it's like all this grass. But it's not like a nest that you would see like an ape make, where they're or another animal like moving just a bunch of debris and stuff in a pile. This stuff was all like laid down, like, and huge. Is a massive, almost like, okay, who remembers Big Bird from Sesame Street? Remember that giant nest
Yeah.
that he sat in? So it was like that big. It was huge. It was huge. And so, like, oh, look at that. It kind of looks like a Bigfoot. And so they went back to their camp and they were telling the guy about it. Well, then all of a sudden, production crew showed up. And the production crew is like, yeah, we need to talk to you guys about something. And like, okay, what? And they're like, well, about what you guys found. It's just let you know that it's an endangered primate. This is one of it's their habitat. And they're like, well, we laid in it. They said that they laid in it. It's like, well, you guys, you didn't see that. It didn't happen. Forget about what you saw. And they're like, are you serious? And one of them goes, so you mean it's like a Bigfoot? And the guy goes, yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, get out of here. So that's fantastic.
Wow.
So you guys, we've been on for 2 hours. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. You two stay in the lobby after we close this up, because
Sure.
I gotta say a couple things to you guys. But you guys, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate you guys all jumping in. And again, you know what? It's a Saturday night and you guys are here with me. And I can't thank you enough. I think the biggest that we got up to was, I think, 68 tonight. Again, I want to keep on building on that. So I got to think of other ways to get it out there, to get all you guys in. So, Finn, I can't wait to talk to you on Tuesday. Shoot me an email again, just on a couple of things that you had. You don't have to go into any detail, because as Sabrina can attest, and so can Mags, they can both attest. I like hearing things for the first time. So I have legitimate shock when I hear it. A lot of times I stay off camera because I want the focus to be on my guests and their story. And so a lot of times you're not going to see my reaction, but when I come back on camera, you can kind of tell that I'm a little shocked at what I heard. So, but again, you guys, thank you so much for joining me, Sabrina, and Mags. Who's up for having Mags come back on?
Me.
Give me a 1 or a hell yeah in the chat.
1.
So,
what about a hell yeah in person? Hell yeah.
Right. So,
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
I had to get
come
so
back and join you.
We're definitely gonna be having her back on again. Ray, you were, I mean, bro, you went crazy tonight, man. Like,
Thanks, Wade.
you legit went crazy tonight. We did have one new member that joined before Ray started handing out subscriptions, like on Dumb and Dumber when Jim Carrey was handing out $100 bills. There you go. So Ray was definitely having a moment tonight. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us. Ladies, do you have anything?
I just want to say thank you to everybody who took the time out of their busy Saturday night to come hang out with us. This is pretty cool. Sorry for all the technical difficulties.
No,
you're good. What about you, Sabrina?
Same thing, happy to be here, excited that Maggie's here joining us, and I'm just excited to still be here hanging around. Thanks to everybody in the chat for being here and sharing and liking it up. And, Dan's a great guy and he's very deserving of this. So happy everybody's here and that we're doing this together.
It's great fun.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, you guys. So you know what? That's our show for tonight. Again, you guys, thank you so much. As my buddy Josh always says, stay prayed up. And as I always like to say, remember, a legend always begins with a sighting. Take care. Have a good night. And
Take care,
come in
guys.
next
Thanks.
Saturday.
Yeah.
We'll be back next Saturday, guys.
Awesome.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?